So, good evening. I do believe we are live. That looks interesting. Oh, we are. Oh, we've got nasty echoes. Right, that's better. How the devil are we all? I hope we're all here. Can everyone hear me? Because I had a little panic as usual. I was getting red flashing things saying your stream's not working. I don't know why. Got the fastest internet money can buy here, so I don't really know. Great, good stuff. Everyone can. And you are indeed hot, Gary. You are indeed, my friend. So, welcome to the Photo Creative Heart of the Home is the Kitchen Challenge. If you've never been here before, Photo Creative Challenges are gym workouts for your photography. Each month we have a theme which you have to shoot for the challenge. Then we follow up with a live feedback session a few weeks later, of which this, of course, is one. If you think this might be fun, please see the link in the description area below where you can click through, find out all about it, and of course sign up to the Photo Creative newsletter so you don't miss anything. It's free to join. If you feel that it is of value, then all I ask is a small monthly donation equal to the price of a cup of coffee, which just helps cover our costs in running it. It is entirely voluntary, but you can also support Photo Creative by clicking the thanks or the little $ below this player. So, welcome everybody who has recently joined Photo Creative, and hello again to all of our regulars. I do hope you're all well, and it's great to see you here. So, Heart of the Home, it is a difficult challenge, and historically this all began during the pandemic, during lockdown, when nobody could go out, no one could go anywhere all around the world. And of course these things began. What can we do? What photo challenges can we do in your own home? And Heart of the Home was the very first one. Was it a good idea to rerun that? I don't know. I guess possibly not, because, you know, people are thinking, well, hang on, let's go out. Why do I want to be stuck in the kitchen scratching my head? It's a good exercise for your photography, but I do get why we didn't have that many challenge entries this time. Sorry, Katie Saunders. Finally understand, even loving manual mode thanks to Masterclass. My pleasure, Katie. It is a joy and a delight when I know that a light bulb has gone on for someone somewhere. Yeah, speaking of Masterclass, like, photography is a skill which we have to practice, and that's what these challenges are about. There's only 5 controls on a camera you actually need. There's a few features that are useful, but that's about it, because cameras don't take pictures, people take pictures. You and I, we're the ones who take pictures. I've just finished editing a video about taking pictures on your phone, and it's still the same thing: light, composition, where you stand, when you click. And there's only a few controls on a phone that we can use because I didn't touch any filters. If you'd like help with those 5 controls, understanding light and composition, maybe you'll have a eureka moment like Katie, there is also a link in the description area below to my Masterclass in Photography online course. I'm giving away 7 free lessons at the moment. There is a link to that as well. If you have no idea what a Photo Creative Challenge is, there is a link there where you can go and sign up and join the newsletter so you don't miss anything. All that good stuff is down below in the description area. What else are we got to talk about? Announcement. I need to just say that the next challenge, you've only got 3 weeks as opposed to 4. As some of you may or may not know, I've been in France for about 10 days researching for a photo biker workshop over there, finding some great locations, finding some interesting routes, but also that may translate into a non-biker workshop as well. All these things are quite homogenous, but because I've been away, to get us back on schedule, there is only 3 weeks for the next challenge, which will be announced immediately after we finish tonight, which will be in about an hour's time. So, how is everybody? Before we start looking at some images, thank you, Mud Max. That's really kind of you. Good to see you, Jane. You're always here. And I also saw you say it's really cold in New Zealand. Well, we are baking a little over here in the UK. I believe this weekend we are moving in well into the 30s mark, which is going to be a bit warm. I have to go into Southampton. That's going to be lovely. Being in a city on a really hot day. Where are you, Lost Shepherd? Bloody cold here too. Hey ho. Yeah, I get it, Matthew. I know not everyone rides a motorcycle. It's something we're looking to try and find, that overlap of motorcyclists who like photography. You know, there are the other workshops as well, of course. Speaking of workshops, we've just had a husband and wife couple book 2 more places for Iceland, which is now a confirmed workshop. We are definitely going to be doing Iceland in December, so there are only 2 places left if anybody wants to come. December's a really great time for Iceland because the sun is very low in the sky. Now, although there aren't that many hours of daylight, the days are shorter. It's almost like having a sunrise sunset going on all day long, but it also maximizes our possibility of seeing the northern lights because of those hours of darkness. And even if we don't, well, there's some night photography stuff we can do, and you can practice those skills in this amazing place. So if you go to my website, photographycourses.biz, go to workshops, find Iceland, because I haven't put a link to that in the description area because I had no idea I was going to talk about it. Iceland, only 2 places left. So if you want to come, you need to get on and book up. So let's go and look at some images. So I'm going to be talking about why I think some images work, and I'll be offering some coaching on others where maybe I think the photographer needs just a little bit of help. But the aim is to try and help everyone overall. You know, why is this image exciting? Why does it work? I'm going to try and pull that apart for you. And as I said, we will finish in about an hour. So let me get my screen sorted out so that we can begin. Oops, I need to move that. I need to move this. There's so many things that have to be moved around to make these things happen. Here we go. Boom. Although we didn't have a huge number of entries, we did have some really interesting entries, and I take my hat off to everyone who entered, regardless of what level of photographer you may be, because it always takes a bit. Effort in always equals results out. So, oops, I think we got a red light. It says the stream is messing about again. Oh dear. Right, I think we're back. I think we're back. If you can hear me, please just say so in the chat. But we should be back now. I've only just reconnected. I can only just see your chat. Please, are you good? Are we good? Are we back? Good. My apologies, I have no idea why it's happening. I did a speed test before we began, and I have got a 32 megabyte upload speed, so why it is cutting in and out, I have no idea. I'm not even using Wi-Fi, I'm hardwired directly in. So apologies, but this is what it did just before we went live. Never mind, we will overcome. Let's look at some of these images. What was I saying when it broke up? I was saying there aren't quite so many entries. But I can see that there was quite a lot of work has gone into these. There's some really great use of light. There is, you know, some really fun pictures. There are some off-the-wall pictures. There's some beautiful still lifes going on. We've got a very high standard of entry at the moment. I notice the standard overall actually is climbing. Now, if you're someone who's at the start of this journey, do not be put off by that. Many of these people have been in this group for well over 2 years now, and watching their skills grow has been completely phenomenal. Sound is not synced, said Jane. Is anyone else having this problem? Not that there's anything I can do about it, unfortunately, because I've got green lights everywhere. Anyway, I've got one eye on the chat and one eye on my green light. Yes, like Kung Fu speak. Is it like that for everyone? Please tell me. I love doing these live things, but the tech issues are so difficult. So Helen's sound is fine. Someone else has got Dalek talk. Someone else has got something else. So I don't know. I can't answer these questions. Never mind. All we can do is plough on. Just keep going. Okay? If the sound's not synced, I apologise. I have no idea what else can be done. Right. If you are having problems with your connection, you know, as far as I can tell, my connection's good. If you're having problems at your end, make sure you haven't got any other browsers open. Make sure no one's watching a movie in the other room. Make sure no one's gaming upstairs. All that sort of stuff happens if you have your, you know, your browser with like 24 tabs open, so you don't have to go and look for them. That will burn up your bandwidth as well. So close all those things and it should be fine. Right, let's get going. So why don't we have a look here first at David. Let me just move this because I love your colours, David. Heart of the home is a kitchen, especially the coffee machine. Yeah, I have a good friend called Paul Tansey who cannot survive without a coffee entering his veins about once every 23 minutes. So what can we say about this? I get where you're going. I like your use of 3. 3 is a powerful number. 3 kind of works very, very well in compositions. Don't know why, but it just does. So we've got some great colours. I like the way the colours in your coffee jar are working with the coffee mug. I like the two, I guess they're sugar and something else, jars on the right. The thing that for me is interfering with your very carefully set up picture is the plug socket and that black plug, David. It's just kind of distracting things. Also the light isn't great. Now it could work, I think, possibly with a little bit more space, but maybe if you could find somewhere else to put it so that we haven't got that great big plug socket on the wall. This is one of those things with photography, is learning to look at everything and not just the subject. It's so easy to get lost into the subject and then ignore what's happening in other places in the picture. Something else that could probably work well in this sort of scenario would be to pull the coffee machine and your pots away from the wall, use a longer lens and a wider aperture, because then it would throw those tiles behind it out of focus. It would kind of make them a little bit soft as well, which would also help to make them stand out. I hope you found that one useful, David, and anyone else who's thinking, what could you do in a situation like that? It is always difficult to think up ways around stuff. Let's have oh yeah, we've got to have a look here, haven't we, Mr. David Cunningham? You produce some really, really great stuff. Just seen some stuff in the chat, guys. If your volume is out of sync, the sound, and it's messing around, do a refresh. Do a refresh of the browser. People are saying that it is curing the problem. So, what a great moment. You know, that picture just kind of going, what are you looking at? What? Which I think is deeply amusing. David, if you're here, I'd love to know. So it says, one of your pet pigeons. Do you keep a lot of pigeons? Now, we said just now about making the coffee maker stand out more from the background. Now, David's done exactly that in this case. Notice how the pigeon is sharp, but what is going on in the background in the kitchen is slightly soft. So David has used a wide aperture and possibly a slightly longer focal length, I don't know, but it has made the pigeon stand out from what's going on behind. So where we had a plug socket in the wall, which was a bit distracting as it was fighting with everything else that was going on, we've got quite a lot of distracting things in the background here, but it still works because of that soft background. By having the pigeon that bit further away from the background, we've got some nice light. It's kind of soft light, but it doesn't matter. It's working really, really well on the pigeon. To me, I think the real skill here is shooting the picture at just the right moment. Because if the pigeon was looking the other way, or if it had its head down, you couldn't see its eyes. Because, you know, pigeons' eyes, they go sideways, don't they? And if you can't see its eye, we're not connecting with the subject. Hello David, we've got 2 in the house and a flock we feed in the garden. Dottie is in the photograph. Lenny is watching this with me now. Hello Lenny. I can't do pigeon noises. I'm good at most animals, but not a pigeon. Great shot, David. I really like it. I like the bits of seed there, but to me the real skill is capturing that moment. David, did you shoot on burst mode? Just out of interest, were you using burst mode? Because this can really help when you're trying to capture a decisive moment. You know, animals look around, they're unpredictable, and burst mode just means that as they start to move, you can be banging out 11 or more frames per second, and that is going to help you capture the action to make it work. Great shot, David. What else have we got here? Oh, so many. Now I get Kira. Not my favourite picture. Not very good at taking pictures of food, but I tried. So true, Kira, and I absolutely take my hat off to you, because that's where it all begins. We have to try, we've got to give it a go. Even if we don't think it's as good as somebody else's, comparing ourselves to someone else is not the best way to build confidence. David took lots of shots as she moved around on that island in the kitchen. Thanks, David. So Kira, good on you for giving it a go. How could this be improved? The light is a little bit flat, but that's not too much to worry about. It's also a bit spiky. There's some quite bright areas here. Maybe slightly softer light could have helped, or being next to a window that faces away from the sun. Notice how little we're talking about camera settings. We're talking a lot about photographer movements. Indeed, Jules, it does look yummy. How could it have helped? I think, Kira, you could have probably made something a bit more out of it. Possibly by, if you could, using a longer lens and zooming in and maybe photographing a part of the picture. Let's do our hand crop thing and just see, because I don't know, I'm just wondering, maybe if you kind of got in on a strawberry and then let the rest go a little bit out of focus, or possibly looked across where the cake was slit. I think there's just a little bit too much happening in your picture, so we're not quite sure where to look. Cool. Okay, I've just seen some comments there. I could not have taken something as good as this at your age. Well, Kira, I have no idea how old you are, but awesome job for giving it a go and entering a challenge. So take it on board. Think about maybe shooting a little part of something rather than all of it, and come back and show us the next one. I really look forward to seeing it. What else have we got? Okay, now look, we've got a very accomplished photograph going on here, haven't we, from Curry. I don't have any of my kitchen stuff as I'm moving and everything is in storage. Now, I noticed there's quite a lot of alcohol related photographs. Now, the thing is, Curry, yes, it's a beautiful picture, and I totally get it. Your stuff's in storage, you haven't got a kitchen at the moment. Okay, so our last entrant was 13 years old. So, Kiara, good on you. Good on you. You are going to rock if you're giving it a go at 13. Just imagine what you'll be doing by the time you're 16. So, Kari, I totally get it. It's a beautiful picture. You've got great light. The smoke, the way it's just wrapping and curling around the neck of the wine bottle. I love this little bit of highlight going on. The way there's a little highlight just sort of showing you this part of the label where it's going dark on either side. It's a really great picture. I get it, you don't have a kitchen, but what is missing for me is the kitchen element. The heart of the home is the kitchen. What I'm getting is fags and booze. Maybe you're a hardcore party animal. Either way, beautifully made photograph. Now, how do we get smoke like that to stand out? We need light coming through the smoke. So you see this highlight on the side of the bottle. That's giving us a little clue. I'm guessing Carrie's got a window somewhere just slightly back from the bottle. So you imagine if my hand here, where are we looking? Here we go, I'm trying to see myself on a thing. Here we go. If my hand here is the bottle, here we go. If my glass of water is the bottle. I'm guessing that somewhere just back here is a window, and that is what is putting this lovely bit of rim light and making that gorgeous shape. You use olive oil a lot. Is that olive oil? Carrie, hello, by the way. It looks like wine. As I say, booze and fags party. Oh, it's not wine. Yeah, well, you see, I'm an ill-educated oik. I'm a country boy. I'm a farm boy who learned how to take photos. So apologies for not realising that's olive oil. Also, I don't drink, so I'm not very good at spotting things like that. But nonetheless, light coming from a window behind. Carrie, please tell me, is that what you did? Is there a window? Because there's some beautiful light there. That is what is waking up the smoke. Light, composition, where you stand and when you click, they are the most important thing. More important than all the gadgets and all the doodads and all the electronics that you will find in your camera. I have watched people with a £50,000 Hasselblad take the most appalling pictures, whilst a 6-year-old with a phone I know, who was taking amazing pictures. Unfortunately, he wasn't interested in getting into photography. Yes, there is a window, says Carrie, so that's what's going on. There's a window somewhere back here. Great shot, Carrie. Let's move on a bit. So this is a really beautifully organized, very symmetrical sort of a picture, David. I like this a lot. I love, again, you're playing with this 3 theme, and it always seems to work. So for I'm going to just whiz back, Kiara. This is kind of, you notice how a lot of food shots are done from above. If you look at Instagram, when people photograph food, very often it's done from directly above, because you sort of get this symmetry. Think about different angles to shoot from, and David's done it really, really nicely here. But then we've got 4 circles going on, and the circle theme is repeated with the plums, kind of with the pepper and the pears as well. There's lots of curvy roundness going on here, which is absolutely splendid. You've got some nice light, there's some nice delicate shadows going on, and I think it works very, very well against the grain of the wood. My coaching, David, would be give it a little bit more space. See how the edge of those mats are sort of cut right into the top of the image up here, and pretty much the same at the bottom. Let it breathe a bit. Maybe show it just a little bit more of the table, because I think it would make it just that bit stronger. But congratulations, good on you for doing the work, for laying it out, for thinking up a way to photograph something, and for getting yourself into a more unusual angle. Okay, not so unusual with food, but nonetheless, how often do we view our own plate of food from directly above, unless we happen to be an Instagram influencer? Nice shot, David. I think this one's fun. Beverly, hello. You've been here for a very long time. I like your use of the blues and the yellows. Repeating theme of blues and yellows going on. My house is your house. That is what it says in the background there. I like the tiles. You have taken a lot of care with this, because look at those lines in the tiles. They're fairly straight. Everything's a bit uniform and graphic. If you're going to put uniform graphic shapes in, it's always a good idea to do that. Beverly, you've got some lovely light here. One of the things that makes this work, look, we've got to learn how to look at light. You see there's a brighter area running down here, then there's a darker, and it goes brighter again. Bright edge coming around the spatula there. All these different tones of yellow, they're all caused by light. Light is king, light is everything. Now, as human beings, we don't naturally see light. We just go, there's Beverly, I can see Beverly, there is light. What we need to learn to do is notice what the light is doing. Where are the shadows? Where are the highlights? Where are the bright bits? Where are the darker bits? Because studying light is what will make our pictures work, so that when we look at something we think, that light doesn't really work for that. I can see it, but does the light work for it? This is what's meant by qualities of light. And if you're looking at someone or something, it means you've got to really, really look. So it's kind of as if you were studying this composition that Beverly's got here, you need to really, really look carefully. Where is the light falling? If you're looking at someone's face, you're going to have to make them uncomfortable. You're going to be really kind of looking at them like this, and they will probably start going, what? Why are you looking at me like that? It's because you're looking, where are the highlights, where are the shadows? Does it look great? Does it not look so great? How can we change it? Beautiful light here, Beverly. I like the way you brought them in at an angle as well, which disrupts that symmetry of the squares in the background. Beautiful bit of light. Love the repeating colours. That, to me, is why this one works. Good work. What else have we got? Oh, what have we got going on here? Hello, John Colony. Your wife's herb cutter. You see, to me, it's missing a bit. I was thinking, where's the kitchen element coming in here? When I read the description, I understood. Okay, I am a barbarian, and a herb cutter is not something I possess. I think I've got a knife somewhere, but that's about it. So that is my bad. How could we make this work more? Now, I do like the shape, and I like those reflections because I understand what it is now. I think it's great the way you've also incorporated these shapes and colours going on around it. Now, this is something, of course, that would be very difficult to try and photograph from directly above because it almost certainly wouldn't work. You'd miss what's going on in that reflection. To me, I just wonder if I'm going to use an envelope. If we took that chair away at the top, I think those bars of the chair, I'm not sure they're helping. Maybe they are, I don't know. Possibly a slightly lower angle to try and pick up the reflection. It's a very difficult thing to photograph. But also, it looks to me as though the lettering here is not quite sharp. So I think you had a very wide aperture going on, which would have helped maybe if it was a smaller aperture, just to get a bit more sharpness in there. But also the light is very, very flat. A bit of light coming from behind, backlight, is always absolutely brilliant and very, very good at bringing out shapes and textures. Good comment from Emma. She just said maybe some herbs, something green to break it up. That's a really good idea. I think that probably would help if we kind of saw it in its context as to what it's doing. I think that could have helped. But good on you, John. I can see you put a lot of work into that. You thought about where to position it, how to get the lines to line up. You thought a lot about the composition of the shot. So, you know, good on you, mate. Give it another lash. See, try photographing it again, maybe in a slightly different way, maybe with a bit of window light coming in, and put a few green herbs in there because I think it would wake it up a bit. Bung it into the Photo Creative Facebook group. Let's just have a look. It would just be good to see. Nice work, John. I need to move on. I can't believe it is 20 minutes past already. That is just bonkers. What have we got? Okay, let's have a look here. James Cavaretto. I think that's kind of a nice idea. And notice how you've cropped it very much to fit precisely the bookcase. James, you've also put a lot of work into this composition. You have tried very hard to make sure all those verticals are straight. Look at these uprights on the bookcase. They're not a little bit off, they're not a little bit bent all over the place. Everything is all nice and straight. Great idea. A load of cookbooks. Somebody is a chef in your home. Maybe they are a little angel. To me, how could it be improved? I just feel it works very well as it is. How could it be improved? I wonder what's around it. My question is always, what's happening around it? I can see a little bit of something going on here where it's been cropped. I think the shape is great for the subject. Be interesting to know a little bit about its surroundings. Maybe that's why you cropped it, because those surroundings don't quite work as well as, you know, maybe hoped for. You've got great light. The light is soft. Soft light doesn't mean bad light, but it's not completely soft. There are still some shadows and textures. Look, where you've got a book that's recessed back a bit, it's a bit darker. Then we got one that stood forward that's a bit brighter. What are we looking at? You see these little tabs where pages have been marked. They're causing shadows. They're very, very subtle. But these little subtleties are the things that make a picture stand out, which is why I was saying if you're going to look at someone's face to see what the light's doing, you're going to be really, really looking all around to see what's going on, because it's subtle. We have to look for it. Great entry, James. Great entry. Alan Bristow. Have you read the description with this, people? So, okay, I am utterly missing kitchen from this. It's a kind of nice shot, a bit of an action shot. I wonder what would have happened, like, you know, a fraction of a frame later. Kitchen for me is totally missing, but you're an interesting man, having this recurring nightmare where you're flying through the air and then get swatted by a giant-sized egg whisk. I like your sense of humour, mate. Moving on, I think. Oh, sorry, I was getting caught up in comments and things there, looking at a few things. We have another coffee picture here from Darren Sangster. That works to me, Darren. You know, now if you're looking at this thinking, well, why does it work? What is it? Once again, it is light. Say it over and over and over again. And it's not just me. You talk to any photographer who has been doing it for a while, they will all say light, 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 light. Don't care about you buying a new lens or a new body or upgrading something. You cannot artificially make light work in Photoshop or anything. There are one or two highly skilled retouchers who might be able to do it. So what's Darren done here? We've got a couple of rather bright highlights there. I'm not sure where they're coming from. They're coming from light sources, obviously. Just a little tip down, I don't know, a bit of tracing paper, something like that may have helped to just spread it out a bit, not be quite so harsh, but it still works because it's really powerful, dark, moody, shadowy. It's that, you know, I want a black coffee. I want a strong black coffee. There is nothing going on to distract it, even though the top of our Bosch coffee maker is disappearing into the background a little bit. It doesn't really matter. I think the highlights are a bit strong, and I'm being harsh because this is a great shot. To me, the main thing that Darren has looked at here is the fact we have got a predominantly black subject. There's tons of black here. Now, if you leave your camera to make the exposure for you, shutter priority, aperture priority, full auto or program mode, or even if you shoot in manual but just put the light meter where the camera says it should be, that shot would be much brighter, because cameras think the world is grey. If you're shooting manual, argue with your light meter. Light meter gets it right a lot of the time, but it can't think like you can. If you know your subject is dark, then what you need to do is make the exposure darker. Don't just always do what the light meter tells you to do, because the camera can't think. Making cameras understand that the world is grey is a brilliant system. It gets over a lot of problems. But I think had this been shot in an auto or semi-auto mode, or had Darren not argued with his light meter, it would be a lot brighter. Great shot, Darren. I'm just going to quickly check comments. Darren did a video getting this shot on his YouTube channel. Nice image, Darren. Steve, if you happen to know where that is, would you mind sharing the link to that video in the chat here, just in case anyone else would like to look at it? I haven't seen it, apologies, but thank you for sharing that with us. If you get a chance, that would be great. Or just share it in the Photo Creative group on Facebook. That's probably a better way, so we're not messing around now. Have a look, share it on the Photo Creative group in case others like me have missed it. Let's just look at some of these as we're moving through. Now look, here we have a Chris Kemp Renninger. I don't know what it is about a soggy berry sort of wet cake, but I do like them. It looks kind of interesting, Chris. You've very much got a kitchen theme going on here, which is awesome. How could the shot be improved? I can see you've thought about it. I like the fork. I like all the squishy marks going on there as well. It's like, did you eat all the rest of that cake? You could have invited me round to help. Right, this is a kitchen in the vacation rental. apartment. Really like the look of the last piece of cake and the messy tray. Yeah, I like the messy tray. It does contrast against the neat and tidy kitchen. You've got a shallowish depth of field, and it is enough to separate the neat and tidy kitchen from the cake. My only thoughts are the angle that the cake is at. I just wonder if it was turned possibly at slightly more of an angle, if we were looking maybe a bit more at the pointed end of the cake. Maybe there isn't a pointed end, maybe there was a bite mark out of it. Also, I noticed that the focus is dead sharp on the fork but not quite on the cake. Now, I don't know whether a touch more depth of field could have helped. Something to watch for is very easy to think I'm going to go for lots of depth of field, immediately go rushing off to f16, 18, 22, or I'm going to have a very shallow depth of field and immediately use the widest one in the shot. But all those apertures in between, they also have little increments or decrements, whatever that is, of depth of field, which will help you manage where the sharpness is. It was a good idea to zoom into the back and have a look at the time of shooting. But I like your shot, Chris. And good on you for giving it a lash and entering. Steve, I noticed it says, oh, it said message retract. I thought it said message refused. I don't know. Maybe YouTube won't let me share it. Won't let you share it. I don't know. Either way, great shot. Let's move on a bit because there are so many more. I can't believe what the time is. There are some great shots. Now look, I need to talk about this one. Boisvert. Boisvert Faber Michel. I'm probably pronouncing that really badly. I get where you're going with this. Home is for celebrations. I'm getting more of a feeling of dining room rather than kitchen, even though of course the food has been created in the kitchen. Good effort. I'm guessing you've staged that because I'm being harsh on you, my friend. I'm just being your coach. Please don't think I am being negative because you put a load of effort in here. There's a few things going on though. We've got a bit of a white balance issue. It's very yellow coming from the tungsten light up above, and we've also got a bit of more natural light here which is coming from a window which we can't see. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something to be aware of. Maybe a little bit of color temperature adjustment. This can be done in the camera as well, by the way, by adjusting your Kelvin. But I am being very picky. I think to me it's this lovely lady here. I don't know, I feel there's a little bit of interaction. Something feels just a little bit uncomfortable. One of the things which I think can work well is if they don't know, you know. If you set up a shot, go, come on everyone, clink your glasses, come on, try and look. It kind of works, but once you've done it, just kind of sit back for a minute. You know, and then hopefully they'll do some other stuff. It may not be a glass clink, but they might do something else. I agree, Wendy. I really love happy shots too, and I think it's a great effort. Good on you, Boisvert. Oh, another very carefully orchestrated shot. Heart of the home is the kitchen. I get it, Diane. Very carefully organised, using shapes again. You know, we've got the heart shape, we've got kitchen utensils telling us we're talking about kitchen. We've got the lovely colours of the fruit, of the strawberries, the raspberries and the cherries contrasting against those wooden utensils. You put a lot of effort into this, and again you also thought about an angle to shoot it from, to make sure that it sort of stands out. I don't know why it is, these sort of graphic-y things do stand out. How could we make it a bit better? I think being a little closer to a window. Now there are some soft shadows, they're gently going that way. The light is ever so gently blowing in that direction diagonally from lower left to top right. Maybe if you could have been a little bit closer to the light source, it would have just helped a bit. I'm being really picky, I'm being harsh. I wouldn't be a good coach if I sat on the running machine eating donuts with you. I'd be a good coach if I stood behind you saying, run faster, harder. But it's a great shot, nicely done, beautifully executed and well thought out. Now we've got a real great kitchen-y thing going on in here, Heather. And I like it. I know it's very busy. Now, it's easy to think, oh, it's too busy, I don't know where to look. Question, real question, please pop it in the chat. Everybody, just mention one item. Where does your eye go first? When you look at this, where do you look first? Please just pop it, one word or two at the most, into the chat. I'm intrigued to know. Where do you look first? I know where I look first. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to say, I love the way you've used black and white, Heather. You've got a great contrasty black and white going on in this shot. I love all the kitcheniness. Where are we? We're in a, I don't know where we are. I don't know what era we're in. I'm guessing, where are we? 40s, 50s, somewhere around there. Keep putting in where you look, people. I'm just intrigued. Yes. You're very welcome, Darren. The dummy in the corner, the mannequin, the person. So far, I think. Radio! Rob, Mr. I think that's you, Rob Williers. Look straight at the radio. Maybe you're a radio man. Maybe you're an electronics man. We all have our own individual points of interest. But the vast majority of us are looking straight at the mannequin. It's that thing about the human shape, the human figure. We're hardwired to notice other human beings in the world. Evolution. Who's coming over the hill to steal our sheep and raid the village and all that stuff? It's one of the reasons, you know, that we do it, you know, and one of the reasons that having a small human figure in a shot, no matter how small, it gives the image a very good point of focus. And I think this shot of yours, Heather, is a great example because it is such a busy picture. There is so much stuff going on, but it works, and it doesn't often work. And it's because of that mannequin in the corner. We instantly go, boom, mannequin, and then just sort of spread out and take it in and then start thinking about, okay, where are we? 1940s, 50s, somewhere around there, not sure. Your exposure is, of course, spot on. I like the light. We've got some shadows and stuff happening all over the place. So I'm guessing, I don't know where these shadows are coming from. It's almost like you've lit it. Have you? Is that what you've done, Heather, if you're here? It's really interesting, this, because look, there's shadows. They're sort of coming up from all sorts of interesting places. That is also adding interest. Look how bright it is down here. Have you got an off-camera flash tucked away somewhere, bouncing light off the ceiling? That's what it kind of looks like it might be. I'd love to know if you're here, Heather. But regardless, all these shadows and highlights, they're all contributing to making the shot interesting. The heart of the home is very definitely the 1950s kitchen. Great entry, Heather. Let's scroll down just a little further. I thought this was a great idea, Vincent. Jane says it's as cluttered as her kitchen. Okay, it's not a kitchen, but I like your thinking. I like the way you're going. And, you know, you're a nature photography. You like wildlife and this sort of thing. So we've got a bird of prey having some lunch. It is a nice shot. Again, we were talking about depth of field and all this kind of stuff. Using a long lens and a wide aperture, you get that marvelous blurry background thing. If you reach a point where you're using a long lens and a wide aperture and you don't, you've still got no separation between point of focus and the background, that's because you'll be on something called the infinity point of the lens. When you are a certain distance away from a certain thing, it is not possible to blur the background, no matter what aperture you use. Even if you've got a lens that goes to 1.8 or 1.2, if you're beyond that distance, you won't be able to blur the background. How far away is that? Impossible to say, I'm afraid, because all lenses are different. I'm only telling you so that you know, if you hit that, you're not doing anything wrong. It just means you need to move closer and bring the point of focus closer, and then you'll be able to do it. Or you need to use an app. Great shot. What else can I say about it? I don't know. Vincent, I'm not sure. The way the bird is looking so backward. Now we've got a great beady eye here. And I'm being really, really strict. Possibly if the head was turned more at 45 degrees, so we could still see the eye, but it was more in our direction. The only other thing, and I'm being picky, is just the way it just sort of crops at the bottom. I'd like to see a little bit more space around the bird. What is going on around the bird? But perfect exposure, beautiful colours. Love the way you've used the long lens. Great shot. What else we got here? Okay, in Rob. I'm going to pick up the pace a bit. I totally get your idea once again about the cookbooks. The thing is, it wasn't until I saw Hairy Biker's Veggie Feast that I knew they were cookbooks. It's kind of like we have to be quite obvious when we want to get a message across quickly. I think maybe again, if you could have been back a little bit. Now I get what you said somewhere about, oh no, it was Emma, the two Chubby Cubs books. I wouldn't know what a Chubby Cubs book was. The Hairy Bikers one, I get. Who's trying to phone me? I'm going to have to switch that off. Right. Yeah, maybe drawing back a bit, we could see a few more titles, or possibly choosing a title which is far more obviously cookbook, if you want to work with that heart of the home is the kitchen cooking and all that good stuff. Oh, that's nice. Look at all that moodiness here from Janet Rowe. Now Janet, you've done a really great effort here. You wanted to capture steam from the peas, but alas, I have a lot of learning to do on my photographic journey. You're in the perfect place, Janet. I hope you're here. Because you've had a great idea and you have worked on it. You've got some nice light going on here as well. Look, you see how the folds are going on in this sort of purpley coloured cloth. I like the fact that it is dark and moody. You are doing a really great job. You're thinking like a photographer, and that's great. The green and the sort of purpley colour, they work well together as well, and the gold, very, very simple. So what could we have done? First of all, let's address what you said in your comment. You wanted to capture the steam from the peas, but of course the steam from the peas is not there. You are not doing anything wrong, Janet. The reason the steam isn't showing up is because if you remember the bottle of olive oil, which I mistook for wine, the smoke and the steam, the smoke is really, really obvious. To make it stand out against a dark background, we have to have light coming through it towards the camera, or at least at an angle to it. So obviously we don't want a light right in front of us like that, but if it's just out of shot to the side and coming towards us, that will bring steam to life. So that is how we bring the steam out. The next thing I would say is your exposure is a little bit low, and that's interesting because I think this is the sort of shot I would expect a camera to overexpose. Now I know that there's not much light going on there because of the fact the camera hasn't overexposed it, but also most of the shot is a bit blurry. That is caused by camera shake. Camera shake are the movements of our hands. We can't hold a camera 100% still. All we can do is make sure the shutter speed is fast enough that those little movements of our hands will freeze that motion. You know, when you look at something through a long lens or powerful binoculars, the subject's jumping around everywhere and you're trying to keep it in the viewfinder. That is camera shake. So we have to have a fast enough shutter speed so that all those little movements of the camera can be frozen, because even if you've only got a little tiny bit of movement here, by the time you've moved, you know, 5 or 10 feet across the room, those little movements here, they're starting to add up. It leverages it and it makes it a much greater movement. So what was needed here was more light and a faster shutter speed and light coming through the steam. Janet, go and give it another go, because you worked hard on that and you gave it your best shot, and that I totally respect, and that is what I love to see. Someone giving it a go, even if they've still got a long way to go. Good on you, Janet. Come back and do some more. And anyone who is sitting on the sidelines thinking, no, not really good enough, look at all these awesome pictures, well, be like Janet. So this one I loved. It's simple, it's easy. We're using patterns and shapes caused by light coming from some Venetian blinds, putting those highlights onto the window. The little mug tree there is rather nice. Now I know there's some quite bright highlights, but you know, they're not burning out. and I think they add life to it. It says sunny day in the kitchen. The fact that the cafe tea room's tea caddy is in the shade there, but I love that straight line thing going on there. Simple is always the best way to go. So Mel, what would my coaching be if there was a way to improve it? Because I still think it's a really nice shot. I just wonder, could you raise the camera up a bit? Because if we get our envelopes and hands and whatever else we've got, I would just take just a little bit off the bottom, only a little bit, because I'm not sure we need quite so much going on down here. I'd probably take it off, I don't know, just sort of just touching into the blue reflection, and then include a bit more above with those lovely slashy lines coming through the Venetian brine, because it gives it that feeling of being a really lovely sunny day. Good effort, Mel. Let's scroll on a bit further. We've looked through most of them. Oh look, that is a beautifully done picture. Moira Smith. I think this is a great example of some beautiful light. Heart of the home is the kitchen. This is a real kind of country kitchen look, isn't it? We got all the things. We got the basil, we got the tomatoes, we got the garlic. Haha, I'm not a total heathen. I like the fact we got some oil going on there, and a glass maybe of wine, the mugs. There's, you know, the cafetiere with the not quite pushed in plunger. I think it's a really beautifully done shot. Also, you've done this really, really carefully, Moira. Look at these uprights. Look, nothing is wonky. The lines are nice and straight. Look at the edge of the tiling on the window, all vertical, all like that. And that contrasting against, you know, the slight haphazardness of the kitchen, the spaghetti lying on the side there. That kind of contrast against all it's not messy, but the messy business of being in a kitchen. Also look at the light. Light. So we've got light coming in through a window. There may be some light coming from somewhere else, I don't know. But look at the shapes in that tea towel. Light and shade, light and shade. Light around the edge of the tomato, bringing out the shape. Dark shade. Light just kissing onto these edges. Look at this pestle and mortar. Look at this pestle. Look, that little bit of rim light. That is just coming in from somewhere. I guess the window light is bouncing off something and coming towards us. I don't know. Moira, I think it's a great shot. Beautifully done. The row of knives, this little highlight on the wall, perfectly exposed. Everything just works. Where do we look first? Same question, let's do it again. Where do you look first in this shot, people? Please, just quickly, type it into the chat. I just want to know, where do you look first? I know where I look first. I just want to see if you look in the same place too. Because to me, I think it's one of the things that makes the shot work. Besides the light, besides the composition. You've done that so carefully, Moira. So carefully. Even if it was something, you know, even if this was a bit of a haphazard thing and it wasn't all, you know, carefully arranging things, the shot has been taken carefully. The camera has been positioned with care. This is not shot from eye level. Just, you know, when you're stood at the kitchen counter and you're looking down like at this angle, you just sort of stood there looking down. Like, that's how we see stuff always. And your brain switches off and goes, no, I've seen that sort of thing a million times before. Moira has stopped looking at it like that, and she's bent her knees and she's got down lower. She's got the camera down lower, so we're looking across straight on at it. It's a slightly unusual angle, just like that food stuff coming straight down from above. Pot in the middle, casserole thing. Yeah, exactly. It's that big red thing. Big red things. We always notice big red things. Red is a very, very dominant colour, but also we've got beautiful light on it. It's still somewhat backlit, giving it shape. Look at that little tiny thin highlight line running up there. These are tiny things, but they add up. They're little subtleties, and they add up. Beautiful shot, Moira. Oh, look, more blinds. Who's this? Kim. Hello, Kim. I like this one. Notice how we've almost got a diagonal coming through it. Look, we're starting down here and working our way up. Beautiful picture. We've got the blinds that are causing the light. The light is great. Look, all these little shapes, all these little things. It's repeated all over the place. It's one of the things that makes the picture work. These are the things to look out for when composing a picture. I think it's a great shot. Kim, you've been in this group for a very long time doing photo creatives, and back when it was photo lockdown, you know, you take some really great pictures. What would I say could improve it? And of course, what I say improves it is just my opinion, and thank you all for valuing it. What am I going to say? You guys have been around a while, you know what I'm going to say, because I say it, because it's just me. We can only talk about what we like. I just want to give it a little bit more room. I want to see just a little bit more room. But nonetheless, it is a beautiful still life study. Am I getting kitchen? I think I am just a bit, because I'm assuming these are herbs. Otherwise, of course, it could be in the living room. But something about this here which is telling me kitchen. I think it's a great shot, Kim. I don't know if you're here. Good to see you if you are. Where are we? We're coming down towards the end of our scroll through now. There's quite a few nice still lifes going on here, but then we're going to have to go and have a look. Oh, now here is a shot. Look, David de Geneva. Hey David, if you're here, I really like it. I do. I really like it. Now, it hasn't got a whole shed load of likes, I know. And I know it was uploaded towards the end of the challenge, so it wasn't sitting around for long enough for so many people to see it. Why do I like this? It has a documentary feel. Now, we all have our own preferred genres of photography. Some of us like portraits. Many people love landscapes. Some like sports, pets, whatever it may be. My thing is documentary. I like telling stories. What I get from this shot is a child. I'm a child and I'm looking up at the kitchen sink with the stuff going on around it. And I'm probably a child of the 1940s because it's in black and white and because it isn't super contrasty. There is something about this which to me is very, very childlike, looking up at that window. Where are we? I'm not entirely sure whether it's a reflection or whether it is something else, but looking at that window, it's almost like there's a fly screen on there. So I'm feeling we're somewhere where there's lots of bugs. We're not in England. You don't see fly screens on windows in England very often. And I like the fact it's dark and moody. There is something about that. It's got a moody feeling to it. It's a documentary. I'm feeling like a little kid. I really like this picture, David. Please bring in some more. Well, since I'm typically on clean-up duty and general family consensus due to my skills is in the culinary arts, this is where I see all the action in the kitchen. Great shot. I really, really like it, David. Sorry it didn't go further. And also, yes, exactly, Beverly, great perspective. We're talking about looking at things from an unusual angle. If you just look down at the kitchen sink, meh, seen it all before. But if we look at the kitchen sink from the same perspective of, say, a 5-year-old, suddenly it's different. So where else are we going to do? Let's just do one more. What's the time? Yeah, we're all right for a minute. Oh, there's so many. I mean, look at this. Sandra Sim, another really, really beautiful still life. We got some nice light. I can't help it. I'm going to have to do two. No, we can see where the light's coming from because there's a brighter part on the wall, but it's putting all these highlights and shadows onto these utensils and spoons and everything else. We've been talking about backlight. The light source is behind the subject. The light is coming towards us. Look, there's the shadow around the garlic press. All these shadows, they're just coming towards the camera a bit. Backlight is a wonderful thing. Also in this case, Sandra, I think I talked to someone earlier and said there's a bit of a white balance thing going on here. That might sound a bit sniffy because there's a white balance thing here, but in this case I just feel it works. Yes, we've got a tungsten yellow warm white balance, but it just seems to work. We've got some nice muted colours, but that light is just wrapping around, giving all these shapes and textures to the garlic. Look, highlight, shade, highlight, shade, highlight, shade. This is the stuff you've got to learn to look for. If you're someone who's struggling with understanding qualities of light and why light is so important, these are the things to look at. Indeed, Mary, it's a gorgeous picture. Sandra, I'm sorry it didn't go further. Let's look at just two more. Useless. Emma, it just made me smile. It's a very well executed and kind of amusing picture. I like the sense of humour. A cracking time. I get it, eggshells. And because it's different, how often do you see a plate full of just eggshells sitting in an egg cup with a spoon all mashed up like that? We don't see that very often, and that's one of the things that makes it a bit more noticeable. Again, we're looking at a plate from a very slightly different angle to the way we normally see it, unless of course you follow foodie Instagrammers. I think the light could be a bit better. I don't know what it is. There's something about the light. It feels like it's a bit underlit or underlit, or maybe it needs a little bit more exposure. I think what it needs is a touch more contrast, Emma. But great effort, and I love the angle of your spoon. I don't often get to say that very often. Karen Bynes. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I just think this is a very humorous, funny, amusing, very, very kitcheny image as well. So we've got cat waffles. I mean, okay, we got the strawberries, we got the yogurt or cream or whatever it is, we got the waffles, but without that mug so perfectly positioned, with that cat just peeping over the edge. Such a great sense of humour, Karen. I think it is a really excellent photograph. I just think it is such good fun. It's well executed. Now, looking at it on my Facebook, it looks a tiny bit soft, but we all know Facebook does weird things to photos, so I'm going to say it probably isn't. Let's say the strawberries and all the waffles, the place we need to look is nice and sharp, and it is very obvious that the cat on the mug who's peeping over the top there is just a little bit soft, which makes them secondary, which is completely brilliant, because that's how it should be. We're going strawberries and waffles, haha, there's a cat looking at it. Maybe not quite as obviously as that, but that is what works. The exposure is just right, the light is kind of soft, but it doesn't matter. There's little shadows again. Look, shadows and highlights, shadows and highlights, shadows and highlights. It's like a railway train, isn't it? Shadows and highlights, shadows and highlights. Repeat that one to yourselves if you're thinking, right, what must I do? Shadows and highlights, shadows and highlights. Look for them and study them. Great shot, Karen. I think it is great fun. Beautifully done. And again, let's just talk about how Karen took that picture. Because again, we're not looking at a plate of food from the normal angle. We're looking at it from a very different angle. Excuse me. Also, Karen is using a slightly shorter lens this time rather than a long one, because it's giving that real feeling of intimacy with the waffles. It may even have been taken on a phone. I don't care. I've just finished editing a YouTube video and it's all phone photography. That will go out in a week or two. But it's a wider angle lens, and that's what's giving us that feel of intimacy with the food. You know, we're not looking at it from a distance. We're up close and personal here. And that really works well. But the thing is, moving that camera up and down, moving the body, composition is moving your body, arms and legs and hands and feet, moving around. So Karen has moved and moved and moved until she's just got those eyes peeping over the top of the plate. Because if she just stood up, we'd have the whole face and it just wouldn't work as well. Great one. Really good fun. Love it. You guys, all of you, completely rock. So good on you. Now what I need to do next is to get myself sorted out. Bear with me, people, bear with me whilst I get the next screen ready. Here we go. Because I don't want to give anything away like I did last time, and like I believe Emma very nearly did earlier today. So let's have a look. These are the ones that I fought, argued and challenged myself over. They're the ones I kept coming back to and eventually I got to the one which I just kept coming back to. These are just my preferences. You may have different ones, but nonetheless I think there is some great photography in this group. And again, welcome all you new people, because I just think this is amazing. All this time we're starting to get some new members at last. Great. It's grown very slowly and now it's gathering a little bit more. So what have we got here? So the first one I just want to pull up is from Dorothy Greenwolf. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I just think it is such great fun. Now there was another shot, and I meant to talk about it earlier, and I'm sorry I didn't. But there was a couple of shots of kids in the kitchen. There was another one of a little girl enjoying, I think she was scraping out the baking, you know, the thing that you do the baking with, and the cake leftovers. And I fought over those a bit, but I kept coming back to this one. Kids playing at the kitchen table. I guess we all did that when we were little. You know, mum's cooking, somebody's doing something, they're serving the dinner. Will you please get all your stuff off the table? I want to serve dinner. You know, oh, just a bit longer. This kid is so lost in what she's doing. The light is beautiful. Let's talk about light. Again, as usual, look at the cupboard doors in the background. Remember, look at your pictures. Look at the whole picture. Don't just look at the subject. Look at the cupboard doors in the background. Look at that diagonal line caused by light and shade. Looking at qualities of light. It just helps. We know that we got a bit of a sunny day. Look at the light on the little girl's face. It's soft light. There aren't big, hard, black shadows going in on her face, but you can see the direction of the light. We all know it is coming from her right, because the right side, that is our left facing the picture, is brighter than the other side. They're very subtle. Highlight and shadow, highlight and shade, highlight and shade. What are they doing? And it works so well on her face, particularly with that lost expression. The other thing I really love that you've got here, Dorothy, is you've just got this moment. It is her moment. She's totally wrapped up in what she's doing. The position of her hand with the brush. You know, I'm guessing, if you're here, Dorothy, I'd love to know, I'm guessing you sat there for quite a while watching to see what would happen, what was going on, to capture this moment. I expect you probably took quite a lot of pictures to make it work. But highlight and shade, highlight and shade. Look how the cupboards right at the back, top left corner of the image, they're quite dark, but there's a bit of we can see we're in a kitchen. There's something kitcheny going on. The chair, all of it. Beautiful picture. Beautiful picture. Now, what have we got next? We have got, I'm hoping I haven't done another cock up. No, I haven't. It's a very, very similar shot, this time from Murray. Look at the shape of these kitchen utensils. The heart of the home is the kitchen. Now, we don't have to see the whole kitchen. In this case, of course, we're not. Hey, Dorothy! And of course, we're not. What we are seeing are kitchen utensils, but again, it looks really, really exciting, really beautiful, because of what? Light. Light, 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 light. Highlight and shade, highlight and shade, highlight and shade. Look at the highlight and shade. Dark shade at the top of the wooden spoon. And it's just curling around and making all these shapes work. If you study this picture, you can see highlight and shade all the way through it. Beautifully done. Some of the light's coming from slightly behind, predominantly to the left, and that's what's putting that little rim light, that little highlight. I don't know if you're here, Mary. Did you light this, or is this available light? Is it you set it up in the kitchen? I would love to know if you're here. I'll try and keep an eye on the comments. Here we go. Hello, Mary. No, sorry, wrong one. Is it the right one? No, this is Mary, not Mary. I'm here. Hello, Mary. I'm a bare little brain. Sorry. Did you light this? Did you use available light? How did you create that dark background? I would love to know. Okay, so you used lighting. You've got a softbox behind and overhead, and that is what is creating those beautiful light and shade. It's a really simple but very effective image. Nice one. Nice one, Mary. Okay, moving on. We've got another kitcheny still life, and the thing which is making it work again is light. Light and shade. Look at all those shadows, those gentle highlights. Look at the look at the tomatoes. Each tomato's got that little white dot. It always amazes me when you look at, you're very welcome, Mary. Look at that little white dot of light on each one of those tomatoes, and on that yellow zucchini marrow, whatever it is, there's a little line of light. So the light is coming from above and to the left. Sorry, I didn't say your name, Annette. Beautifully done still life, Annette. Letting the light trail off to the right. Look how dark it is in the top right corner. Look at the background. There's a bit of light against the background which is bringing us into the bottle. It is a very beautifully done still life. Second one, absolutely love it. What more can I say? If you're struggling with qualities of light, look at these and look at the light. Study it. Don't just go, yeah, it's tomatoes and a courgette and some fruit and veg and a tea towel. I'm going to put that up and I'm going to take a picture of that and it will be amazing. It will only be amazing if you're working with the light. Light is the most important thing. Caravaggio's light. Yes, indeed. Yeah, exactly, Wendy. Sorry, George, I didn't see yours. Yeah, it is. It's like a painting. Very, very painterly. You imagine being a painter and trying to put those little dots of light in exactly the right place so it looks natural. Beautifully done. Now, a very different take on the kitchen here, but it is so kitcheny and I just love it. I'm in dark and moody mode at the moment. Carl. Cooking. What more can be heart and soul of the kitchen? Somebody cooking. I love this dark and light thing that is going on here. Now, forgive me, I've completely forgotten. Somebody was saying about how do I make the steam from the peas stand out. What's happening here? The window is behind. Is that you, Carl? If you're here, I'd love to know. The window is behind the person cooking. We know this because there is a little silver rim light, halo light, running round the nose and the lips and the beard. It's just catching in there. Look at the light coming over his hand where he's holding the pan. The light is coming from behind him. Now, the reason the steam from the cooking is so vibrant and alive is because that light is coming through it. You want to make something translucent stand out, you have to put light behind it. That is the key thing. Was it someone called Karen, I think? Forgive me, too many names, too little brain. But yeah, that's the key to it. Beautiful shot, Carl. I just love it. It's moody and it's like got anticipation. And somebody just said, Amare, what was he cooking? I'm hungry. Me too. I haven't had any lunch yet. There's something evocative. I can always smell this picture and it's something to do with that steam. Also the angle of the pan, it's angling just away, I think, from the camera. It doesn't really matter which way it's angling. It is a great shot. It gives me a real feeling of cooking and being in the kitchen. Next we have got, I just love this because it gives me that documentary feel from Nancy Katcher. There's just something easy with it. I'm getting a summer's day in a summer kitchen, even though you're peeling root vegetables. Maybe it's a winter's day, I don't know. But there's something just the way the light is falling again. Light is king. Light and shade, light and shade, light and shade. Look at the shadows under the potatoes. Look at the way the light is coming through this piece of potato peel. How it is bringing out all the little textures and imperfections and shapes within it. I just like, you know, the hand holding the potato peeler. It is, I think, a really, really nice kitcheny photograph, and it sort of has a bit of action in it as well. It's sort of, what is somebody doing? Forgive me for looking away, I keep looking at the comments. Never did a potato peel look more beautiful. Indeed, Annette. So awesome, everybody. Good on you all for giving it a go. And I'm sorry, but especially big shout out to all of you who are giving it a go when you think, maybe I'm not quite good enough against some of these guys. Don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. There was a very long time when I could not say I'm a photographer. When I first started on this journey, I used to drive bulldozers and machinery, and I've worked on farms. Life-changing conversation led me to take my hobby, photography, which I was not good at, and turn it into my living. And it took a year of very, very hard work, of repeatedly practicing and studying all day long. And I mean all day long. I took a year out to do it before I got my head around it. Behind me are 3 exposure awards from the Exposure International Photography Festival in Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates. They've been presented to me by His Highness Sheikh Sultan bin Ahmed Al Kazmi, who puts the whole thing on. He is an incredible human being in his own right, and I'm very, very proud to be part of that. But that journey began with, what do you do for a living, Mike? When I first started, I couldn't say photographer. I didn't have the courage. It was too big for me. So if you're someone who's thinking, I'd like to enter these challenges, but I don't think I'm good enough, we've all been there at some stage. And if you haven't, you're probably a narcissist. Just join in, just give it your best shot. And before you know it, your best shot will be phenomenal. So my pick of the month, the one which I just kept coming back to over and over and over again, here it comes, is from... Now I thought this person wasn't here, but I could swear I saw Helen Martin's name pop up in the chat just now. I love it. I just think it is, what could be more kitchen? What could be more kitchen than 3 kids sitting on stools, dangling their legs at the kitchen top thing on those kitchen stools? Again, we got beautiful light. Look at that light, it's kind of soft. We got highlight and shade, highlight and shade. Look at the legs of the chairs, it's bringing out the shapes of the chairs. Look at the shadows going on behind there. If there wasn't any directional light, it wouldn't work half so well. And also, Helen, 10 out of 10, big shout out. You cut their heads off. Brilliant! I love things like that because it makes the shot noteworthy. We don't need to see their heads to kind of guess what's going on. It's engaging because our imagination starts to take over, and we look at the shot, we look at the picture, and we kind of start to build a picture in our minds of what are they doing. Are they, like, you know, tongue out the corner of the mouth drawing? Are they laughing at each other? I get the impression that the 2 on the right are looking at each other. I don't know why, I just do. Body language. I think it is a great shot. It takes a little bit of courage to cut your subject's head off. But again, it makes it noteworthy. If we see something the same way we've seen it every single day of our lives, it does not hold our attention for very long. I think this is a great, great picture. If they're your kids, Helen, fantastic. If there's someone else's, I hope you've given them a copy of this. You bet they were eating beef raviolis, Amare. Anyway, wonderful, wonderful bits and pieces. I'm sorry, it's because I'm concentrating on something else. I'm trying to work my machine. Wonderful photography, everybody. Wonderful effort, great creative thinking. That was a very, very difficult challenge. It was worth a go. A few of you guys suggested let's revisit our very first challenge. It was worth a punt. But yeah, you know, we will learn things. That was great. I loved seeing your images. The next challenge will be going out very, very shortly once we finish this live stream. That is a very different challenge, and I think it might be a popular one. Emmeline chose it, as she usually does. So yeah, that will be going out very, very soon. If you are puzzled by anything we have talked about in this, about light and shade, how to see light and shade, how to think like a photographer, those 5 camera controls, light and composition, where to stand, when to click, please, 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 please do yourself a favor. Go and get those 7 free lessons. Try out my online masterclass in photography. So many people within the group have said, oh, I did this, it was great, and it helped them. There are 5-star reviews going all over the place on Trustpilot and others. I know I can help, and if it doesn't help you, I'll give you your money back. So you've got absolutely nothing to lose. You do not need a new lens. What you need is to learn how to use the one that you've got. Anyway, enough of that. I wish you all well. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to be associated with you and to be part of this with you all. So until the next Photo Creative, remember you only have 3 weeks on the next one. If you're not signed up to the newsletter, use the link in the description below this to go to the Photo Creative page. Stick your email address in there. All well, it's been a pleasure and a privilege, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care of yourselves, people.